I'm Opal Mitchell, and this is our Crafting with Opal program that we do on Thursdays or every other Thursday. This week we also have another guest crafter, I guess you could say, that's going to be doing or showing us how to do a Quilled holiday card. It's got a snowman on it. So if you did sign up for supplies, then you can come by and pick them up from the library. And if you're ever interested in following along in any of our programs, just call up here and you can sign up for supplies before we have the program and pick them up, usually the day of the program, because we record this, so if you don't want to follow along live, you can watch it later. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to Miss Jody, who's going to be doing this for us today, and she's going to show you some examples and the supplies and everything that you would need unless you didn't have them already. So without further ado, let me swap over. And I'll have to readjust because we're seeing the top of her head. All right, this is Miss Jody, and she's going to show you what we're doing today, and I'm going to rearrange everything so you can see.
All right, these are the two examples.
Uh-huh. Yes.
It's a little snowman on a small little holiday card.
Yeah. So that's what she's going to, and we just say holiday that way. I mean, if you don't want to do Christmas, it could be a holiday card of some kind that you send to people this time of the year. Sorry that I'm bouncing around so much.
Oh, you're okay. I'm using regular 5mm quilling paper. You can use thicker or thinner. It's really whatever you prefer. This is just the most commonly used. I've got 3 strips of white, 1 strip of black, which is for the hat.
Okay.
You've got a strip of orange for the nose, and then the scarf can be any color you want. For this one, I'm using yellow. If you got the supplies from us, we asked for your favorite color, so you would have gotten that. And then you'll need a piece of cardstock for your card, a quilling tool, 2 toothpicks because they make it so much easier to apply the glue. All right, and then I'm just using Elmer's crafting glue because it's cheap and it works really well. And then later, this is optional, I prefer to use scissors to cut the buttons for the snowman later, but you don't have to use them. You can just tear the piece and it'll give you a little rigid edge that kind of looks like fabric. It's completely up to you.
All right. Switch. And a paper plate for your glue would be handy if you've got that.
Now for again, if you've got supplies from us, you won't have to do this part because I already did it. But if not, you're going to take one of your pieces of white and rip it in half so that we have the different dimensions for the circles so that it actually looks like a snowman. The biggest one is going to be a piece and a half of paper glued together so that it has more spirals in it.
Okay.
So once you rip it in half,
I'm going to move this stand back a little bit. Okay.
You'll grab a full-length one and a little bit of glue.
I'm going to zoom in on your hands. Whoa! That was a little too much. Okay.
Alright, and you'll just put a little bit on the end. I will say, since it's white paper, it's a little harder to see, sadly, but it doesn't take a whole lot. And then you just push the edges together. You can wait until it fully dries before you spiral it if you want. You don't have to. It will still do it either way, but some people feel that it's easier for them to wait until it's dry.
All right. So that's your really, really long one.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest circle at the base of the snowman.
Okay. So you're going to go ahead and start.
Mm-hmm. That's the only one you'll have to glue or rip.
Okay.
So.
And you did that for people that picked up the supplies. Theirs is already attached. Okay.
Yeah, I already ripped one of the pieces in half and then glued the half piece to the long one.
So you guys won't have to worry about that.
But it's good to know, especially if you decide to do multiple cards. And then you just roll it up, which with it being longer does take a little bit more time.
I didn't turn the light on. Let's see. Oof. Yeah. That might make it a little bit easier for them to see what you're doing.
Possibly.
Sorry about that, guys.
Well, there's so much white, I feel like it all just like blends in.
Together, yes.
Can't see anything. The glue is white, the paper's white, the plate's white. Luckily, the paper is a slightly different shade of white than the card is, but not enough that it looks weird with the background.
Yeah, because we toyed with the idea of using a different colored card, but then we're like, but then the inside of the snowman would be the color of the background of the card.
Yeah.
But
So-
I guess if you had some extra cardstock paper, once you got your circles made, you could draw circles on some paper and cut them out and put them behind it and put it on the card. That would just be a lot more gluing involved.
Yeah, and you can also put glitter on there if you decide whatever works for you. And then on the spirals, this is really however you want to do it, how big you want your snowman to be.
You just kind of pull it back out and unspiral it.
Yep. I pull the edges from the middle and then I'll pull the outside and then go back to the middle again. But yeah, this part, you don't have to really size it specifically for anything because once you put it on the cardstock, it's going to look right when you have the other ones on there.
More or less just loosening it up, huh?
Yep.
And figuring out what size you want it to be.
Yep, and then when you do, we'll take a little bit more glue and get the edge of the paper. And luckily, since it's such a big spiral, it's really easy to slip your finger into it and just press it together. And then for now, for your biggest one, you'll just let that one dry. And don't worry if the spirals aren't even yet because you'll be able to pull it with your quilling tool after we glue it onto the page. So if you want to make them really, which one is it? This one, I wanted them to be really even, so I took the time when I glued it onto the card to separate them.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal if it's not that way now.
I'm going to show that other one. There we go. So that
And
is
then
a difference. Oops.
on your next piece, your full piece of paper that doesn't have any excess on it, that's going to be for your middle circle. And then the half piece that was left over from earlier will be the top for the head. And then just slowly spiral. It is really calming. Like this is a pretty calming craft to do.
I feel that way about knitting and crocheting too, especially if it's a super simple project that you're doing that you don't have to think really anything about. It's a nice repetitive motion type thing to do.
Yep. And now with the middle one, I normally just, it gets eyeballed as well, but you can kind of base it off of your bigger one of like how big you want it to be in comparison to it. Some people like to do a really skinny middle and then a bigger head. I've noticed it's been a trend with snowmen, so, or you can go the traditional route where they're all each slightly smaller than the one under them. Completely up to you. And then just like with the last one, you'll just put a little glue on the end. And press separate those. And then put it up with the other one to dry. And then this is going to be the one for the head.
Little small one left over.
Yep. Try to use all the paper. Because it's a funny thing with quilling, me and Megan talked about this before. The little scraps that you have, there's a pretty high chance you're going to find something to use it for later.
That's kind of like with, again, knitting and crocheting. The yarn that you have left over, and then I've known so many people to take them and use them as scrap blankets that they would end up, and those end up being some of the coolest looking blankets, really, is having all those little scrap pieces.
A little goes a long way.
It got blurry there for a moment. I don't know why my camera was doing that.
I will say with the smaller spirals, like with the head, it can, depending on how big your hands are, it can be a little harder to pull the paper apart because you don't want to be too rough and rip the paper.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be done, but you might have to have a little patience for it. Just to warn. Because on the first one, I ripped the head.
Oh, ripped it. Okay.
By accident, but it happened. Okay. Let's put that aside. This is why I love toothpicks. They make it so easy.
Toothpicks are handy for more than one thing.
Mm-hmm. I think I use them more for crafting than I do anything else.
All right, now we got our 3 pieces.
Yep. We've got our snowman body pieces, and then if you don't want to do all the pieces first, you don't have to. I just prefer to because it's easier for me. But on your black piece, you'll take about 2 inches to 2.5 inches, and you'll rip it off, and that's what you're going to be using for your buttons. And
Oop, I can't see. It blended in with your shirt since you're wearing black.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's about this long, and it's for the 3 buttons, your eyes, and this little end piece that makes the hat.
Hat. Okay.
That's what that's going to be for. It doesn't take a whole lot at
But-
all. And then
And I would say that's probably a little over 2 inches. Yeah.
It's like 2.5-ish.
Yeah.
give or take. And then this, you're going to spiral it just like we did the white pieces. I'm gonna do
And that's
this
for the for the hat.
for the top of the top hat.
Guess I could zoom in. I've been zooming in whenever you're doing that part, but I don't know if that's totally necessary. But
Yeah, this part it's pretty easy. You take your time with it because as long as you keep the top even with the bottom, it should roll up
excuse
without
me.
falling apart.
I'm just tired. This is not boring. I went and yawned. I'm like, oh, I've had so many mornings. I've had to get up early every day this week so far, and it's end of the week, and it's catching up to me.
It is the season.
Yeah, and it's dark so much now too.
Now let's see. I'm gonna take the little head spiral because you don't want to make the hat too big.
Oh, for the head, yes.
All right.
So you need to eyeball it with the head.
Yeah, so that would be a good size for a top hat. You can make it bigger than the head if you want to.
Yeah, it could be bowler hat. What
Yeah,
they
it could
call
be
it, bowler hat?
It doesn't have to be just like a top hat. This is just the one that I settled on, but anything works. Alright.
I love your shirt. It's just funny how the black keeps blending in with it. I'm like,
I was just thinking, when I grabbed it, I was thinking it was festive.
mm-hmm.
Alright, and then for the scarf, you're going to take the end and fold about 1.5 inches in half.
Okay.
Because you want it to be the same size, and then you're going to rip it right here.
So you're going to have excess paper is what's going to
so
happen.
you'll have this, because this is going to be for the scarf. And I'm not going to quill it now. I will quill it later, because you really want to be able to glue it down to the paper so it doesn't unspiral too much.
Okay.
But how we'll do it is this will be spiraled, and then this one will, and it'll sit like that on the snowman. So.
All right.
And then the last thing.
Oh yeah, the nose.
It's the
I
nose.
was like, why does she have more paper?
The
I
last
forgot.
thing is the nose. Now the nose, you can do this as thick as you want. I wasn't going to do it much. Normally what I do, I don't rip it until after I've started spiraling it, so I can see about the thickness of what the carrot nose shall be.
Ah.
So, because you're going to need that second toothpick for this part. So, I don't know if you can see how thick that is or not.
Zoom in. If you can. There's an idea.
Right, and then
Ooh.
you just rip the excess excess off.
Okay.
This one you do not want to unspiral. And the reason why is because after we glue it down, we're going to use that other toothpick.
Oops, I'm having trouble keeping it. Okay, so you're just gluing down that edge?
Yep. So that it doesn't unravel any at all.
Okay.
And then to make it a 3D nose, you're going to take a toothpick and you're just going to push on the inside of the paper and try to catch the edges. It might take a couple of tries because paper can be very stubborn. Sorry if y'all can't see or not.
Uh-oh.
And sometimes it likes to
Unglue.
It does happen. Oh, there it goes. But you'll push it out like that. Oh, there he goes. And then once you get them out a little bit, you can tug it with your fingers. You won't have to actually use the toothpick anymore. And if it does unravel, like if it pops out too far and you can't get it to go back in, you can always get another piece and just redo it. It's so small it doesn't take a lot of extra. That's why I have a lot of paper when this happens.
Ah.
When it pops out, because that's happened before. So like that, you just grab another piece and redo it. I wanted to make sure it was known because it is very easy to pop it out.
Okay.
So don't
get
thrown by it.
frustrated, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be okay. That one piece of paper will give you multiple opportunities.
That's probably the hardest part of the whole thing, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's worth it when you get to sit the nose on top and it's 3D like and it looks like an actual carrot. Very worth it. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you can see where the piece of paper was in between the slots on the quilling tool. If you can get that part with your toothpick, it'll be easier to push it out.
So you want to push that little piece,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to see, I'm sure, because it's so small.
Zoomed in, it wasn't that hard.
It wasn't that bad.
Mm-mm.
And depending on what size nose you have, the toothpick might just be wide enough that it catches the paper by just pushing it all the way through. And you won't even have to catch the edge if that's the case. Come on. There it goes. Okay.
And you're kind of twisting it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there we go. My nose doesn't have to be very big.
Oop, oop, oop.
I don't want to, I already gave one of my snowmen a poking Pinocchio nose. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's the hardest part.
All right.
All right.
So now we got a nose, we got a scarf, we got the hat, and the pieces.
For this, you can put the glue directly on the paper. I will say it's a little bit harder, but if you don't want the excess on your card, you can do that. I choose to just put the glue on the actual card because it's easier to straighten up the spirals if it's that way, because it has more area for it to stick to. And for that, you just take a little one. If you want to use a ruler to get your snowman perfectly in the middle of your card, you can. I honestly just eyeball it, for being completely honest. Because once the snowman's fully on there, it's really hard to tell if he's a little off center or not. So the chances of it actually being noticeable is pretty slim.
And if you do kind of draw it, you're going to have to be careful because if the pencil could show through, yeah. And you would have to draw it really, really light because even erasing it and stuff, it will show up a little bit.
Yep. And then once that, you just make sure the outline is close to the bottom of the card. You don't want it to go over the edge, but you want it close. And then I use the quilling tool with this. For this, you can use the toothpick if you want. I hold the top edge, and then I just grab the spiral and I move it. And as you hold the pieces that are moved, they'll reattach as the farther you get. So, kind of like guiding it to unspiral in a straighter way. You see, they like to be a little stubborn. So So take your time with it, and luckily the glue doesn't dry super fast. So if you end up not liking where it falls, you should have a little bit of opportunity to go and fix it. But it's also a snowman, so it's okay to be imperfect. That's what makes snowman so great. There, it gets a little easier once you
Get
it started.
towards the center.
Yeah. The bigger ones are the hardest, and that's just because your finger has more area it needs to hold down. And then that's your first one.
All right. Hey, that would be great. You could sprinkle, like you said, glitter in there too. That would be
Yep.
cool.
So if you wanted like a shine to with just normal white or silver, you could. Or if you wanted to do some blue, you could do it that way. Definitely got options. Especially if you put the glue on this way, because the glitter will just attach underneath what the paper's not touching.
Oh, and I was talking with our other staff person that does the. She's been doing a lot of our felting stuff, Miss Megan, and she's was talking about doing maybe some watercolor with quilling for a card. You know, to do the background with watercolors, and then do. I think it's going to be a Valentine's Day thing that we were going to do. I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. That'd be so easy to do some watercolor background and then add your 3D object on top, and it'd be multimedia type craft.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. Mostly since quilling is paper, you can put it with a lot of different things.
And she's wanting to work with the alcohol.
The ink.
Ink, and doing stuff with that too. So she's going to be playing with that to see how that all works.
That'll be very fun.
Dye the paper with that, and then do your quilling on top. I love that. That way you don't have to really draw anything.
Yeah, can just fall where it may. There we go. Yeah, like I said, you don't have to move the spirals this way if you don't like the first one. They just kind of landed where they landed.
Yeah.
And I let them be, and that's perfectly fine. I'm a little OCD, so I like it to be a little straighter. Now, before we add the head on, this is where we will deal with the scarf, because you want it in between the middle body part and the top of the head, because that's what's going to hold it in place. So what you'll do is you'll do the top spiral first. If I can get it in between prongs. There we go. And you'll do it about a third of the way down. And then you'll do the other one where it stops right before it.
Okay.
And you're going to unravel it a little, but you wanted to wait until you were ready to actually glue it down, because the glue on the card is going to be what keeps it from unspiraling. It's not going to be glued on the side like the circles were. So you'll unravel it a little, like that. That is way too much glue. And then you'll put some glue on
Actual
the snowman
top.
body. Yep. And then you'll put some on the back of the spirals themselves. These you can do it on the spiral instead of the card because it's such a small area. It's not nearly as hard as it is with the body parts. And then you push that there. And then you just position the spirals how you would think a scarf would look blowing in the wind. Like that.
Aha. Okay.
And then we'll take our head and put some glue right here. I feel like I'm using so much glue and I'm really not. And you can put some glue on top of the yellow or whatever color your
Scarf.
is if you'd like. You don't have to. I just like it to be pushed down closely. And like I said, with the glue still wet, you can reposition it if you need to. Once you've put the head on, if it's not where you want it. And then with the head, you just, if you so choose, position the spirals where you want them. This one doesn't want to do that. There.
And this one, you really do need it to spiral out so you'll have a place to put the nose and the eyes and stuff.
Yeah, this one, I think I unspiraled him a little too much. Oh, there we go.
Let's see here.
This is why I like that paper is forgiving.
I'm
Because
gonna
if you unspiral it too much.
Let's see. Oh, come on, camera. It's blurring. Why are you blurring? Let me zoom out and see if that helps. There we go.
Did it clear up a little?
Yeah.
Alright.
It keeps wanting to blur. I don't know why.
So for this, you can just tear off a piece on how much you think you'll need for the eyes and buttons, or you can go ahead and cut it or tear it now. I'm going to go ahead and cut the pieces because I have to put the bottom and the top half before I can put the top on there.
Okay.
So, 1, 2, there's glue on these. And I messed up one of the buttons because they're super skinny, so make that to even it out. Alright, and then on this, you just take, you match it up to your head so that the edges would go a little bit past where the,
I got you.
kind of like an actual top hat, how it hangs a little bit past where the forehead would be.
Let's see. Okay, I see.
And then once you've figured that out, you just take it and you fold the paper however much excess you have left. Just so it's a little bit thicker of a...
Oh, band across there. Okay.
Thank you. I was trying to think of the name of it. Draw one up a blank. And then you'll put a little bit of glue on this so that it stays down.
Okay.
And then you'll glue it to your snowman head. Just like that.
All right.
And then to get the square, you'll take it in between your fingers on all 4 sides, and you just squish the edges a little bit.
To kind of square it up.
Yep. It does not take a lot of pressure at all. And I've seen some people where they go actually towards the edges and they just pinch like that, and it squares it as well.
There we go.
Whichever you find is easier, it completely works. And then you put some glue on the base where it'll attach to the band, and then you'll put some on the back where it attaches to the card. Just so you don't gotta worry about it falling off. And then you line it up. And
Alright.
that's what it'll look like.
Yay.
And then for the eyes, you can keep them as squares or rectangles as you tore them.
Or you could circle them, make circles.
On these, I cut off the ends, the little
Oh, the
edges,
little corners?
and
Okay.
it almost looked like octagons. And that worked for it. It looked cute to me. So you can do that. You can use scissors or an X-Acto knife for that. I don't know if you'd be able to tear it because they're so easy.
They are
so
tiny, yeah.
I don't know if that would be very easy or not. But I mean, you could definitely give it a shot.
And if you did a bigger snowman and you had a hole puncher, you could do hole punch ones. But that would have to be quite a bit bigger because hole punch is quite a bit bigger size than what you're doing here.
Yeah, this is a miniature card, so I guess if you did a normal size card,
You could do that. And a lot of people who do paper crafts have a single hole puncher for
yep,
crafts.
for that. As far as like if you're worried the paper won't be big enough, you could just glue more strips of white paper together to create the bigger bases that you would need. Instead of the paper and a half that we did, you could do 2 strips or even 3.
Ah, thank you. My sister says cute, fun craft. Thank you, Claudia.
Alright. So, got the eyes cut. This is up there with the nose.
As far as being difficult.
And they never like to fall where they're supposed to go. They like to go everywhere they're not supposed to go. Your other
I guess if
toothpick
you had,
comes in handy.
or if you had tweezers,
Yeah,
that
if
would
you
be
have
pretty
tweezers.
awesome.
I don't have tweezers with me, sadly. So,
Oop,
see,
yep.
like that right there.
But that's okay. Actually, the toothpick, it stuck to your toothpick, and then you could
Mhm.
just kind of reposition it. Yeah.
Also, if you want like more spirals with this one and the top one, and if you're going by these dimensions, you can do like a full strip of paper for the head and a little bit more for the middle if you wanted to. You don't
Okay.
have to, but some people do like a lot of spirals on it because this one doesn't have quite as many. So the option is there. Oh, and I almost put glue on that one. That's the cool thing about quilling. If you want something where it has a whole lot more spirals and less space between them, you just need more paper.
More paper, yeah.
That's all it is. You just take another piece of paper.
Oh, and I guess if you really wanted to have fun, if you wanted to buy some googly eyes, you could do that too.
Yes, they do look really cute.
I know that wouldn't be very realistic snowman, but
They are really cute. The only reason why I did the paper was because I wanted you to have so you only needed the paper in the
paper,
parcel.
yeah.
So that
You
if
can
don't
always
have Google
jazz up anything when it comes to this anyway. I mean, you can always, there's all kinds of neat stuff that when you go to the craft stores, all these different neat crafty, even the stickers that you can buy that are the little bitty ones.
Yeah, they've
The
got a
foam
lot of-
stickers, yeah.
Yes.
And like you said, glitter, you can always do stuff to add to it with glitter. Hey, that would be a great snow scene on the background if you wanted to use some glitter for snow on it. You'd have to really play with that, I guess.
Yeah, but you can always do it before you put the snowman on and get the background just right. And, like on the bottom half.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of like
that
with
it doesn't
painting.
melt.
When you're doing painting, they always have you do the background first and then layer your other objects on top of it.
And I guess if you really wanted to, you could take not the actual card, but just a regular piece of cardstock and do your snowman on it, and then use an X-Acto knife to cut it out. And then you could just glue that wherever.
Oh, yeah, and then you'd
You
have
want
your
it.
white background to your snowman already, and you could put him on a blue card or red card or whatever. Yeah.
Only do that if you're old enough to use an X-Acto knife.
Because those are sharp, yeah.
Yes, if not, please have an adult with you, because they're not fun.
Nope, it's easy to cut yourself with those because they are, and the whole reason they are supposed to be super sharp, and so you got to be
Yeah.
careful.
And it's a small blade too, so it's easy.
Yes. Even adults hurt themselves with that stuff.
It's kind of why I didn't want to do it, because I didn't want them to see me fail at using X-Acto. All right, got my 3 little buttons. There we go. And then with the nose, you can just dip. If you're using an actual like
Glue.
tip, you can just put it on there that way. But since I put some in the little plate, I
here.
can just dip it in. Because you want it to be a generous amount so that it'll stick, since it does weigh a little bit more.
All right. So hopefully the nose won't fall off while you're holding it up like that.
Yeah.
Since it is heavier.
It's secure when it dries, but you know.
There we go. That's our snowman. Oh man, that's so cool. That's That's awesome. Thank you so much for showing us this today. We
I enjoy it.
appreciate it.
I enjoy that it's simple.
Yes,
And
it's.
so-
I love being able to do easy, quick crafts, and it just now occurred to me I should have brought the painting over here that we're going to be doing next time. But I'm creating an event for it, so there'll be a picture on the event. So if you want to see what it is, but
It is a very beautiful painting.
it's a snow scene, kind of Christmas-ish. It's not necessarily. I just call it a holiday one, or it could be just a winter one.
Yeah, it's kind of it's winter wonderland type thing.
Right. So, yeah, you can check that out and start signing up for that one to get supplies for that program. Starting tomorrow, you can call up here and sign up for it. And then I'll put the other snowman over there. And then
His little little nose. He's like I need to
all your
dry.
different cards. But,
So he can dry.
oh, is it falling off?
Yeah. He's going down.
Okay.
His
Then.
nose is taking a nap.
So just let that dry. So,
Yeah, it only takes like 5 minutes to dry.
Dry.
It doesn't take long.
so those would be some nice little cards to make for holiday cards for people. And they're blank, so you can write whatever you want to on the front or the back.
And my mom, she likes to put cards like this around, like on the entertainment center or the coffee table in their house
Yeah.
as decoration
Yeah.
the holidays. So you can do that too.
And these are more, of course, you can't mail these because, you know,
No.
but, they're neat little ones that you could put inside gifts for people and stuff. The nose might get in the way even in a gift, but still, homemade stuff is so much more fun and nicer to give to people. So,
And if you wanted a flat nose, I guess what you could do.
you could cut one out, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could cut.
And then lay it sideways on there, huh?
Yeah, if you cut it at an
Angle?
you can get a little.
Get like a
triangle.
triangle. Let's see.
Like
I
that.
have to really zoom in, but yeah.
So like you could do it if you needed a flat one for whatever reason, a flat nose. I just thought the 3D one was really cool.
I like that.
I like that it looked so much like a carrot. It made me very happy.
All right. Well, thank you. My sister was saying thanks for sharing. Well,
Thanks for coming.
yeah, thanks for watching us today live. Just like I said, if you're interested in signing up for the other one, you can call tomorrow and we'll get your information to sign you up to get supplies, and then you'll be able to pick up the supplies starting the day of the craft, which will be exactly 2 weeks from today, because we do this every other week. All right, well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.